Hi, welcome back to this video. In the previous video, we saw some techniques for univariate analysis of categorical variables. In this video, we will try to implement those techniques in Jupyter Notebook using pandas. So let's open the notebook. So for your information, we'll be using the same notebook that we used in univariate analysis of continuous variables, and we'll be working on the same Titanic dataset. So here is the notebook which I've already opened for you. So as a refresher, here was the part where we read the data file. We had 891 rows and 12 columns, and we had some columns like passenger ID, survived, P class, name, etc. This was the part where we identified the data types of the variables. So for example, we had name, sex and ticket as a categorical variable. Then in this part, we performed some univariate analysis for the continuous variables. And now we are on to the next part, which is the univariate analysis for categorical variables. So to get access to these variables or this notebook variables, we'll have to first run all the cells. We can do by clicking on the cell and run all. So it can take a bit of time, but it will eventually run. So now we have all the previously run cells and their values. So let's get started. Let me first write a markdown so that it will be easy to know that we are working on univariate analysis for categorical variables. So like in the previous video, we studied there were two methods. First the tabular method and the graphical method. And in the tabular method, we saw that we can create frequency table. So we can create frequency table for the categorical variable using the value count function, and the variable that we'll be working on is the sex variable. So first of all, we'll access the sex variable and then use the value count function on this variable. And here we can see that the output is similar to what we saw in the previous video. There are 577 males and 314 females on board Titanic. It also has written some additional information like the name of the variable that we have run the function on, that is 6, and the data type, that is int. Now what if we want to create frequencies percentage rather than the absolute frequency? So like we discussed in the previous video, we can just divide the frequencies by the total number of people on board Titanic. But before that, let's create comment so that later on it will be easy to comprehend from frequencies. So we'll be using, to calculate the percentages, we'll have to first create the frequencies. I'm just copying the above code. Now we just need to divide it by the total number of people on board Titanic. So we can calculate the total number of people using the length function, and here it is. So there was 65% male and 35% females on board Titanic. So this is all about the tabular method for univariate analysis. Now what if we want to create a bar plot for these frequencies? We can also do that in pandas using the bar plot function. First of all, let's create a comment. One important thing to note is that the bar plot takes the frequency table as input for creating the bar plot. So we'll need this code again to create the frequency table, and then we'll use the .plot.bar to create the bar plot. Here we can see that we've got a nicely created bar plot where we can see that the number of males are somewhere between 500 to 600 and females somewhat around 300. If we need to just see this image, we can just have a rough idea that the number of males are greater than the number of females by a factor of like 200. And now what if you want to create percentages of bar plots rather than the absolute values? So this can also be done, but let's create a comment first. Here you can see that we created the frequency table in terms of percentages. So we can use this code to create a bar plot again, but care has to be taken that we need to enclose it in brackets so that it is evaluated as a single statement. Then we can call our .plot.bar function, and here we can see that we have created a bar plot. So here the percentages of male is somewhat above 0.6 and the percentage of female is somewhere between 0.3 and 0.4. So this was all about how we can implement univariate analysis techniques for categorical variables in Jupyter Notebook using pandas. In the next video, we'll see how we can perform bivariate analysis. Thank you so much.